What was that clock doing?
I was just going to say, what's wrong with the clock?
Hang on, let's do it again. And go. What's that clock doing?
Aren't you meant to say, what's wrong with the clock?
Fuck. Right.
Don't
Hey,
mean to say it.
What's wrong with the clock?
We're winning, Spook.
Winning, what's that?
I don't know, I've forgotten. It's terrible. Welcome to the Collingwood Rant. I am Sly.
And I'm spinning backwards Spook.
And we are joining you after yet another, that's not something you've heard often at Collingwood in the last 4 years, yet another Collingwood win. Spook, what did you think about our victory over the 2016 Premiers?
Well, it was a game of two parts. Part A, which was shit, and Part B, which was enjoyable.
I actually found, we spoke about this last week's episode and we speculated about who might come in. We never anticipated who they actually would bring in. They brought in Reid, Greenwood, and Josh Dacos.
Yep.
And I don't think any of us anywhere anticipated that Levi Greenwood would start on Tory Dixon.
No, I think the whole world thought he was coming in to tag McLean.
McRae.
Yeah.
So I'm really, I don't know. I was really thought there was danger signs there. I was thinking you can't just lose Murray out of that half-back line. I would have actually played Murray for one more week while you got Langdon back there and starting to get a bit of that familiarity back there. But you can't just sort of replace a guy who's a straight line runner in Murray with Greenwood, who's not renowned for his dash or his pace or his defence.
Or his ability to play in defence.
Yep.
I mean, he did cause or was directly responsible for at least one or two goals in that first quarter. That those were very worrying signs with him down there. But, I mean, to his credit, he sort of improved.
Yeah, it's one of these things, too, where people say Buckley doesn't try things. Well, he tried something. It was insane, but he tried it. And
I think also, though, with him, too, is the intent would have been that if they judged McRae to be damaging, then that move could have been made. I think though Pendlebury started running with him initially as well, but I don't think he had a massive influence on it, and I really don't understand the logic behind it personally, but...
So, I mean, that's the thing that worries me, because we've had games where some opposition mid has run amok, and we just seem to not actually address it during the game, which, I mean, McRae, I think, had about 11 possessions in the first quarter, so he actually was doing pretty well. From what I saw, I thought the Bulldog strategy must be, look, they're going to come out hard, we need to absorb that, then we'll counter-attack, and that's what happened. About the first 10 minutes, we were constantly up forward, we could not score, and then Bulldogs just several times went straight forward. They had a couple of really soft 50s. Yeah, and they ended up, kicking like 5-6 goals.
5 goals in the first, yeah.
And that seemed to be a strategy. And I've got to give Collingwood credit, because in previous years, we've had a number of these games where the first quarter has established like a 5-goal margin. We spend the rest of the game trying to catch up. Mm-hmm. So we'll usually get to within 2 goals, and then the opposition will pull away, and then it's just this noble effort. The last few weeks, we've done this a few times where we've actually started behind and we've actually overhauled the opposition. We've done it with St Kilda, we've done it with Bulldogs. We failed to do it against Geelong, but...
don't make a habit of it, though.
Yeah, you don't... It's a little bit... I don't know if it's surprising, but, it seems it's a little bit of a common thread that we go forward and we just can't find an avenue, and then there's some adjustments made, and then we start to click.
Yep.
Since we did mention the umpiring, first half umpiring...
Mason Cox probably had about 48 please explains that he could have addressed with the umpiring fraternity. His handling, or the handling of him, was terrible. The chopping of the arms, the blocking, the grabbing, the tugging.
Tunneling,
they were doing everything to stop him from marking, and I suppose that was working. But I mean, the amount of infringements they were giving away that were just, didn't see it. I mean, mind you, not that many umpires probably look up at the top of a skyscraper and see what's going on, but still, it was frustrating to watch.
Yeah, Buckley addressed this in the press conference, and he talked about, he was trying to be really diplomatic about it. He didn't want to just come out and say, the umpiring was shit, you need to take care of him. If I was Buckley, I really would have said something like...
The umpiring was shit. You really need to take care of him.
I would have said something like, we don't want a repeat of the way Travis Cloak was handled by the umpiring fraternity. And that, to me, would explain, or for everyone else, it would actually explain, what Cloak was handled so poorly by umpires. He was constantly scragged and all that, and rarely got frees. And if Buckley put that out there, I reckon that would have just been good way of sort of shoring up Cox also. Because I just thought that was blatant cheating. But I guess it's not cheating because they constantly got away with it. But then on the flip side, some of the free kicks they were getting, there was a couple of hole in the balls where they didn't really tackle. I remember Dacos gave up a hole in the ball at centre-half back, or he was just basically pushed in the back. There was no actual tackle. Dacos dropped it because he was pushed. And it was Pay dropping the ball. McLean did that duck where he dropped onto a knee and then got collected high by Adams. And
absolutely putrid.
And then McLean got up and actually ducked his head into the next tackler and still nothing. And that's the most perfect example of when that too high is not meant to be given. So for the first half was, we won, so I can say this. I really believe umpiring decisions can influence the momentum of the game. And if you're trying to come back and you're just constantly getting these poor decisions, it really just affects the evolution of the game. And that actually makes the game go a direction it shouldn't be going, because one team is really just getting shit on and the other team is getting constantly rewarded. And obviously the team that's getting shit on is going to start to think, oh, geez, I better be a bit tentative with that tackle. I better be a bit wary with that contest. Whereas the side that's getting the favourable umpiring, like with Cox, they would just, if the umpires played that one free from the beginning where Cox got hit, then the Bulldog defenders would have thought, shit, they're going to be onto us today, we cannot pay these. But instead they were given license to bump into him as much as like, and Collingwood was given license to be fucking apprehensive about every contest. Umpiring shouldn't be that bad. As I said a couple of weeks ago, umpiring should be consistent the whole season, but you just constantly get these, we're hot on this week, or not even this week, we're hot on this game. Next game will actually change it. I thought it was appalling. Second half, great turnaround.
Ding.
Got them, kept them to 4 points.
Oh no, that's incredible.
Which is astonishing. Had everyone up and running. Had a lot of great contributions. Really need to highlight Chris Mayne.
Yep.
Thought he was, serviceable is doing him an injustice. I thought he was really good.
He's got his detractors, and you're one of them.
But I'm not the main one.
You've got to give credit where credit's due. At the moment, he's filling his role beautifully. I mean, he's very cautious with his disposal. He's not going to take any great risks or anything. Obviously, he doesn't want to get dropped. But he's effective, and he's doing everything right. He's running hard. He's getting to contests. He's dishing the ball out, albeit slowly, but it's still going somewhere. He's not kicking any goals, as you pointed out, but you can't have everything.
Well, as a forward, he's going to need to kick goals, and that's just not a shot at him. Any forward up there needs to actually kick goals. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, Hoskinelli, I thought, was good the whole game this week. But like, if you're a forward, you just can't chip in. You just can't chip in with like 12 possessions already. You need to hit the scoreboard. That's why you're there. What you're there for, to actually kick goals. So he is going to need to hit the scoreboard at some point. He does seem to be sweeping quite deep. I reckon in the first quarter he had about 5 possessions on that right half-back position. So he seems to be backing up quite a bit, as you said, linking. Taylor Adams had a really average first half.
It was worse than average.
Had a really good second half.
Yeah, no, he came good. He certainly came good.
Yep. Tom Phillips, as you pointed out, really developing. He's looking like an amazing rookie list find. Was he a rookie list or low draft?
Was he rookie?
We'll say he's a rookie.
That makes it even better, the story.
Yeah. Well, anyway, he was a low pick. Amazing development.
Oh, it's just incredible. He's become just such an essential cog, and his form is just going through the roof.
The thing he's found is like a lot of reliability with his disposal. And as we were saying on the night, how often does he kick the first goal for Collingwood? He seems to actually do that. I think he did it this week, he did it last week, he did it against Geelong. So he actually knows how to find the goals, which is a really big strength as a midfielder, because a lot of midfielders won't actually hit the score. But you look at someone like Chris Judd, comparing Tom Phillips to Chris Judd, you get on that.
That's a fair comparison.
Yep. But yeah, I mean, Judd was a champion, but he wasn't noted for hitting the scoreboard. And that's not criticism to say he's a bad player or anything, but just saying, as a midfielder, it's actually a special asset to actually have that ability.
So he's clearly playing with a lot of confidence at the moment, and that shows.
Scharenberg, 100% disposal efficiency.
That's incredible.
There was top 8 things on an AFL website, which I looked at again, or somebody actually sent it to me, which just said Colin got it right with Scharenberg in terms of the drafting, but geez, he's just from week to week improving more and more.
Oh, he's just Mr. Reliable to the max. I mean, 100% disposal efficiency is just insane. He had about 27, 28 touches too. And
yeah.
I mean, just to nail everything that you're hitting is incredible. And there was a lot of pressure down that forward half too for the Dogs coming in. So to be that composed and still hit things is just well done, mate.
And he's starting to take a few marks.
Just keep it going.
But he's taking marks regularly also, which is really good. And he's directly impacting contests. I mean, if there was no criticism of him last year, I mean, he was still getting like 20 possessions or something. But I thought there were a lot of sideways, non-influential possessions. Now he's like really impacting the direction of the game. He's taking a few daring kicks. He's leaving his man when he needs to and all that sort of stuff. So he's become such an impactful defender and such an important defender, given that Maynard is still 1-2 weeks away after being declared 1-2 weeks away 5 weeks ago.
Just put his leg back on and let it grow, or do something. Just on Scharenberg though for a minute though, surely he's going to be one of your first pick for All Australian on present form. Now do they do some sort of rubbish about halfway through about here's my All Australian? I'd be curious to see how many of the media have him in their halfway mark sides or whatever it is they do.
Well, I have to admit I don't watch a lot of the other games because they bore me, but so I don't know who else is doing well for that position. But you're right, him and Howe are having. I'd even throw Dunn in there, maybe not all Australian, but he's been really solid. But Howe and Scharenberg have been fantastic this whole year, and actually Langdon hasn't been that far behind. Langdon's been really good.
Yeah, he copped a bit of criticism on the old interwebs. I noticed, but I didn't think. He had a couple of clangers in the first quarter, but other than that, I thought he was pretty damn serviceable.
Yeah, but he's one of these guys, as I said, he'll kick, he'll have a clanger and people go, that's why he's shit. And they'll actually ignore everything else he did. I mean, he kicked a really nice goal. He's a really good mark, but I reckon he's been really solid. And, the other thing too is you've got to give these players a bit of license. They're not going to be up every week. They are going to have like a bad game here and there. So I don't know why Langdon would actually get that condemnation if people saw he's had a bad game, because I don't think he's really had a bad game the whole year.
No, I want him down there each week. Yeah, he's good.
Him and that. Degoe was not very effective as a forward this week, but then they moved him into the middle,
and he was influential.
And I think he's going to have to be a midfielder who actually goes and rests up forward rather than a forward who just has shots up in the midfield. Especially with Pendlebury getting older, you want the next elite mid coming through. Treloar, you cannot not mention him. He 40 possessions, hitting the scoreboard,
2 goals,
providing a bit of dash and break and all that.
Yep.
And we've really needed sort of him to realise that potential, because I reckon since we've gotten him, he's not done that regularly enough. But this year, I mean, if you're mentioning All Australian, I'd actually put him in All Australians.
Interesting.
Appleby was good.
Yep, solid.
And again, the other one was Grundy, who rucked for the Bulldogs in the first half and then changed over and rucked for Collingwood and was influential and pivotal in helping turn the game.
Yep, look, I love him. I think I said the same thing last week, but just, that first quarter, he was just tapping it straight down the Bulldogs' throat. Yeah, I don't know whether it's an awareness thing. He was on the footy show the other day and was talking about that he's only just started wearing contacts, and he sort of really didn't realise that his eyesight was that bad, but then he started to notice that things you couldn't see who was downfield or anything like that, and now he's playing with contact lenses. So, maybe he should go and have his prescription looked at so he can tell the difference between a black and white jumper and a Footscray jumper.
Maybe check on whether you're colourblind, because
look, take that out of his game. He's dynamite. I mean, he is dynamite, but just they're frustrating.
Well, here's another one.
You want first use of the ball from your ruckman, and Cox is good at it. I mean, because he's hitting the ball before anyone has even realised that it's hit the stratosphere yet. But he's got time from that height to probably make a better decision where to go. Where Grundy seems to be a little bit more reflective. Well, not reflective, but reflexes are more his go when he goes to tap it down. You're hoping the mids are going to sort of read the drop, but not always to be.
Well, I think with Cox, that's probably the basketball background where you're probably tapping a lot more throughout the course of the game, and it's people are moving around you a lot quicker and all that sort of stuff. I should actually mention with the Dogs too, because I did have a really quick glimpse of one message board and people were going on about, it's a disgraceful for the opening quarter and all that. And when I was there, I was thinking, this is a really bad first quarter. But then as I started thinking about it, you got to give the opposition credit. you can't just sort of say every time we have a bad first quarter, we're shit. It's also, you got to give credit to the opposition. I know people might say the matchups weren't right and all that, but that's why the game goes on. You change strategies.
Dogs were shamed the previous week. They had they had a point to prove, and once they got going, they proved it.
And I don't think they're not,
stopped pretty quick. They proved it.
They're not a bottom four team, but they're actually a competitive team. And I just thought the first half, when they got their running game going, it really just totally threw us into disarray. And you look at St Kilda. St Kilda actually taxed Richmond this week. So people are going, oh, we should have pounded St Kilda. Well, St Kilda's, again, competitive and all that. You can't just sort of say every time a team outplays us, how shit are we? Because you got to give them credit. Geelong really blocked us up with with us trying to get that running game going, and then we had to revert to a lot of chipping to try and work our way through it, and then the skills fell apart and all that sort of stuff. St Kilda were just very competitive. It took us a while to get on top of it. Brisbane, same thing.
Well, and the Blues pushed the Cats there for a little while too on the weekend.
So I think it's really unfair.
Form is fluctuating across the whole competition.
But yeah, and I think it's just really good that we are getting on top, because again, in previous years, a lot of that Brisbane game, the St Kilda game, the Bulldogs game, I would have expected us to lose given the circumstances. But we came out on top. We overran them in each and every game. So I'm hoping that the club, the team, is actually starting to believe that they're capable of winning.
I agree.
Regardless of what the circumstances are, and even if they have a slow start. And they've got the game style now where if a team does jump them by 4 goals or whatever, like the Bulldogs did,
you can come back.
But it's not going to require frenetic tackling, hitting 110 tackles per game and causing all these turnovers. That we have a game plan that's just going to outrun the opposition, provided we get a bit of space.
Yep.
Any final thoughts about the game against the Bulldogs?
No, ended up enjoying it.
I think we all ended up enjoying it, except for one person. I won't name who he is. Understudy. Sorry?
Who's he?
Yeah, I don't know. He's the guy in the corner with other people who don't like us winning. Anyway, we'll be back with Media Mephitic. So we're here with Media Mephitic, and a lot of the media in the last week has been focused on the contract status of 2 guys. DeGoey and Darcy Moore. Mm-hmm. Tom Morris over at Freo W, I think it is, no one really cares, said that as far as Moore concerned, it really had nothing to do with the club, but he felt he might prefer the Sydney lifestyle.
What does that even mean?
I want to know
what's he saying? What does it really mean?
I want to know why this got thrown up and no one has followed it through. It's like someone might have just said, I'm just going to throw a grenade into this story and see what it's, how it goes. No one picked up on this. Like, I mentioned it to a few people and they just put a lot of shit. So it actually astonishes me that...
Seriously, if you grew up here, you lived your whole life in this state, and all of a sudden, because a Sydney club is interested in you, you're just going to prefer that lifestyle, having never experienced it?
Oh, in fairness, I put Darcy Moore up there with...
He hasn't experienced it.
With Tony Lockett, because he's getting all the media surrounding him and all the kids stopping him in the street. He's obviously that popular and that notorious that he just can't handle Victoria. So, it's got nothing to do with Collingwood. He just wants out of Victoria. I think that's just a load of shit. The 2 guys out of contract who are getting all the focus, I'm going to talk about some other ones in a minute. Some of the stuff that's been thrown up around them is amazing, and it really annoys me that you think some of the media should just stop being fucking parasites or stop being vultures who are trying to create stories for the sake of selling some copy. One guy who didn't do that was actually really pleased to, was Jonathan Brown. Brown actually came out and said he felt the go he owed Collingwood and he should re-sign. And sorry, Jordan, you sort of do, because...
and I think he's aware of that. And he seems to have flagged the intention that he wants to stay. So hopefully it's just a done deal in a few weeks' time.
We love him as a player. So I'm hoping he stays forever. I hope they all stay forever. One of my greatest fucking regrets, I had no power over this, unfortunately, is if you look at that 2010 Premiership team, how many of them have ended up elsewhere? And I think when you go do these reunions, these 10-year reunions and all that sort of stuff, you're going to have so many of these guys who, Daisy went to Carlton, Heater went to GWS, Wellingham went to West Coast, and there was others like Dawes and Lumumba went to Melbourne. There's a lot of players who just sort of went elsewhere, and to me, it just sort of like, I wish they ended up they finish their careers as Collingwood players, as Collingwood legends.
And you get so many AFL footballers who are always retired ones, that always their opening statement is, I wish I was a single club player.
Well, that's what Peter Moore says about Collingwood. He regrets he left Collingwood for Melbourne. He wished he stayed at Collingwood. But talking about contracts, there is...
Is mine up?
Yeah.
Oh, don't get rid of me.
Well, Chiefs sort of, firing the reserves. So these are the guys... there might be others, but these are the guys I found who are out of contract. DeGoey, Moore, Jamie Elliott. What would you offer Jamie Elliott, given he hasn't played, more than about 6 games in the last 9 years?
Jeez, I don't know.
He's obviously a champion player, but...
If you can't get on the park,
much.
You really can't be expecting to get the big bucks. And he must be realistic around that as well. I don't know, but some of that you must drive a base contract and a performance-based enhancement to the dollar value on top of that. But that still, I think, has to be then factored into your cap. So whether it's not a cheating way of doing it, but whether it's an incentive way of doing it. But then when you're injured, it's not like... He was interviewed recently and he was pretty dark with his responses, and he's obviously frustrated as all hell that he can't get out there. So, I don't know, it's a hard one, really hard one, that one.
Right, Scharenberg.
Whatever he wants.
Scharenberg, it's really interesting. I was speaking to someone else and this other person said, I hope he doesn't dud us and go to Adelaide. And it's like, why is the natural Collingwood response always at the worst case scenario? It's not like the guy's going to, sign on and stay loyal. It's always like, they're going to fuck us over and leave.
Well, that's one circumstance where you can say that the lifestyle wouldn't be an attractant.
Yep. James Aish.
He was tracking beautifully. Again, I think, when you're under that recovery of injury, you often see a lot of these players assigned during that period as a I suppose it's a way of encouraging them and perking them up. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's out of contract, that he gets done very soon.
All these guys are free agents. Alex Fasolo.
I think he's gone.
I'd like to keep him. I reckon he
I
gets
have no problem with keeping him, but I just don't think he's going to have the opportunities, and he may choose to go somewhere else to get better opportunities. And that could be a win-win for both.
He's going to end up at Carlton. Josh Thomas.
Keep, yep.
Tyson Goldzak.
Well, hasn't he been given another year on the back of his knee?
On the article that I saw.
Yeah.
If it's on the back of his knee, I doubt he could read it.
You can't write stuff like that. I don't know, I've tried. I love Sack, but
he's
obviously going to get another year. If you go through that whole rehab thing, you probably deserve some light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
He wouldn't be expensive to keep on in his final year.
I love Sack, but he's probably going to be depth and VFL playing next year.
Well, that's the reality of it all. And it must come down to a pretty harsh discussion that the club will have with him about what is it you think you're going to get out of next year.
And Jared Blair.
So long and thanks for all the fish.
Okay. DeGoey, what's his best position? There was an article about he's a mid.
Geez, you're obviously, at the moment, he had those 2 big games up forward and you think, well, obviously that's it. But then he was quite influential and got himself into the game when he went to the mid. I think ultimately he ended up being a mid. But at the moment, if he's down there and he's scoring goals, you keep him down there, because we don't have the Elliots or the Fasolos or that type of big body, or the Moores or anyone really. And our forward line is a bit of a weakness for us at the moment. So if he's happy to stay there and kick goals, I'm happy to watch them.
All right, so something very dear to me, Jaden Stevenson. Can we keep him in number 35 instead of handing off to another fucking draft?
I'm over this whole 35 thing for the first year. I think, my one of my sons is named Jaden, so naturally he's going to gravitate towards this guy, and you're thinking, well, you want to buy him a jumper with a number on the back, and I can't do it till his second year, because what's the point in buying it with 35 on it now when it's just going to go to whoever our number 1 pick is, or first draft pick that we have next year. Just either nip it in the bud and leave it on his back now, or...
I just leave. I absolutely fucking hate that on the Collingwood number 35 locker, another name will never go up as a 100-game player.
Yeah, that's true.
Because no one will ever get to play more than 26 games or 25 games at most in the season.
It just doesn't make sense.
And then you get situations like when Scharenberg had the number and played that whole first season. Didn't play that whole first season, so you never actually saw the number out there.
The same with Sierra as well.
Yeah. So I just think it's it was well intentioned, but I actually reckon it's stupid to actually have as an ongoing tradition. I'd rather a player wore it, whether it's Stevenson or whoever they give it to next, and made it their own, and became legends of Collingwood, and they went under Peter Dacos, Simon Prestigiacomo as a 100-game player with that number.
Yeah, and like Stevenson's a great prospect.
Yep.
Leave it there.
Yep. If you're going to listen to us.
No.
Just going to flash back on a couple of things. Coxie, you sent me this list. Coxie's on 20 contested marks. 18 contested marks. Max Gorn is on 19. Jack Rewalt's on 20. Ben Brown, Tom Hawkins on 20. Jerry McGovern from West Coast, 25. Jack Darling on 31. So Cox is on, 7th on that list, or is, 7th, if you take out the even finishes, which is a pretty good effort for a guy who Robert Walls declared he's not going to make it.
Up yours, mate.
Yeah, is he still not going to make it? Because he's looking pretty promising, and I think actually clubs are shitting themselves about him getting his hands, especially the last...
That's clear. The amount of Footscray players who are hanging off of him, and it's the same the previous week. They are desperate to stop him. And
the other thing I've noticed, he's actually starting to get treated a bit like Anthony Rocco. Rocco used to, people get in his way and just fucking shove him out of the way because he was so strong, and it'll be a free against him. And Cox has actually copped a few of those where he's just moved someone out of his way and then taken the mark, and it's a free. But basically that's what he's done. But if it was, someone else who, umpire's favour, it would have been fine. So that's a bit of a flashback, as is this one. Pendle's still not A grade. Mike Sheehan.
What a wanker.
Just go through Collingwood injuries.
Oh, wow. How much time we got?
Right. So Varco's got the hamstring. They say it's not serious, so he'll probably be out for 9 weeks.
Yep.
Sire did an adductor.
Yep.
I don't even know what that is.
It's a groin muscle.
I thought he just couldn't do addition.
Hey.
McClarty did a foot.
Oh, which one?
I don't know. I don't even know how serious it is.
My left foot.
I did check the website, but they didn't have anything up. A little bit concerned with sort of the amount of players, and looking at Varco, Reid, Wells, Elliott, Moore, who you could potentially have in this side who could just break down on you all at once because they have soft tissue issues. And I don't know if, the reality is at some point the club might just have to say we have to move past some of these players because it's just too high a risk. I was sort of hoping that Coxie might get a week for that Johannesson bump. He ended up getting a fine, just so they could actually give McClarty a game.
Not now.
Not now. But I'd really love to see them throw McClarty a game against one of the teams they feel they're more likely to win.
Which would have been Freo.
Yep.
Not to be, unless, of course, he's okay, which that never happens to us.
But he's not going to play anyway, because they're not going to... get rid of Reid or some, one of the other tools. But just really worried about some of these, players who have soft tissue fragility. And I'd hate to get in the grand final or something, just say you're playing all these guys because it's your best team, and then they just all break down running through the banner.
Oh, you wouldn't think that'd happen, would you?
What would happen would be the week before you'd win the prelim by 48 points, and all those guys would be BOG, and you'd be thinking, there's no stopping us. And then it'd be like that.
Hang on a second. You remember who you follow, don't you?
Yeah. But it'll be like that Simpsons episode where Mr. Burns had the softball team, and they're going, maybe something will happen to one of your ringers. He goes, it might happen to one, but it couldn't possibly happen to all of them. And you just think, in the course of that week, each one of them would break down in some bizarre way. And I didn't actually read this article because the Herald Sun has a paywall, and couldn't really be bothered reading a lot of their shit anyway.
That's true.
Why didn't Brian Taylor go into the Collingwood rooms?
I don't know. One of the boys said that during the texting of watching the game the other night, that apparently they've said no, which is, I don't know the reasons why, but...
Okay, well, I'm going to put in my opinion. I don't give a fuck. I actually find it so invasive with all these commentators and media now just hounding coaches as they're walking off. I saw Taylor a few weeks ago. He was walking into rooms, he was walking into the umpires' rooms, and I don't know if they're trying to call that entertainment or, broadening the viewer's perspective of what happens in the club. I just fucking find it massive invasion of privacy. If I was running a club, I'd just say no. Post-game, we're doing what we're doing. We don't want to fucking talk to anyone. People like Craig Hutchison, he'll go, oh, this is what we need to grow the game. Tell me what fucking kid is sitting at home wanting to watch a commentator walk into someone's dressing room to conduct some boring, lame-ass interview. You know, the game's grown through Auskick and getting players down there so they can look up to their heroes and all this shit. This crap that, you know, we need immediate access to everything, the whole fucking game. Go fuck yourselves. You know, I remember bloody Mark Robinson years ago, Carlton Essendon game, where Cade Simpson, I think it was, kicked it on the full, which led to a turnover, and Essendon kicked the goal, and they drew the game, I think it was. And fucking after the game, Mark Robinson complained that Cade Simpson wouldn't talk to him. And it was just like, go fuck yourself. Look what he's just been through. Why should he talk to you? So anyway, I'm sick of this. I'm sick of this fucking immediate access. Fuck it off. Seriously, just fuck it off. God, anyway, that's it for Media Mephitic. We did have one wax lyrical, wax dumb, which you mentioned.
Yep, and we'll get onto it after this short commercial break, which is just essentially a graphic up on the screen to tell you what's coming.
So on to wax lyrical, wax dumb, Spook.
Yeah, look, I didn't attend the game because I had a sore couch, adductor, yeah, and my foot fell off. So there was probably really only one wax dumb moment, I think, in the game. And it was, I think it was the second quarter when Sidey, there was that kick from Footscray that went out of bounds on the full. And Sidey had the shot. And it was, pretty tough angle, tough kick, all that sort of thing. And he's missed, right? And then Cameron Ling starts going on about he's one of the best kicks in the competition. And then Hamish comes in and says he could kick the ball through an open window on a moving train. And you sit there thinking, he's missed the fucking shot. They're the sorts of platitudes you give if you nail the shot. It's just like sometimes they've got these things lined up that they just have to get out. Otherwise,
Dennis Cometti started that.
Their brains are going to explode. But you've got to have the right moment for doing it.
Yeah, and you know what, Hamish McLaughlin? There's no open windows on trains. Okay, they don't happen. Get back in your Superman t-shirt and go to the next Marvel fan convention.
So that was really it. So that was one thing that stood out for me.
Okay,
quick segment this week.
Yeah, really quick. Match preview.
Yes.
Right, so we're playing Fremantle this week. And I just looked up the ladder quickly. We're on equal wins with Port. The Port has played one less game. They play Hawthorn in Tasmania. Sorry, we're on 24 points each. Yep. Hawthorn's on 20 points. Yep. And every team in the 8 amazingly has a gimme. Eagles play the Saints.
It's all the bottom 8 versus the top 8 or something. So
Richmond versus Essendon, Melbourne Dogs, Swans Carlton, North Lions, Geelong Suns, Adelaide versus Giants. So you think everyone in the 8 would win. There's probably like a really slim chance of a few upsets. But I don't think there's going to be much movement in the 8. So it's really about us just entrenching our position if we can. What do you think about this game against Fremantle?
Fremantle, strong at home, schizophrenic when they're away. If we don't win this by 10 goals, I'll eat this scarf, except I won't if we lose by 10 goals.
Yeah, we should win this one. It's not us getting cocky, but really, if you're beating, the Saints and the Bulldogs, especially at Etihad, a game we traditionally never play that well, a ground. We should be beating Fremantle at the G.
Yep.
So, really comes down to Collingwood's going to win.
I think it'll always be minimal changes too. Is there anyone waiting in the wings?
Well, Varco's going to be out, so...
Yeah, so Wells will come back in, because I think that was flagged that he was given the week off, and he's coming back in.
Well, he did play 2 weeks in a row.
On the G, and not the concrete monstrosity.
Yep.
So that could be the one and only change.
Yep. Just a quick mention, I forgot to talk about him. Josh Dacos' foot was really good, clean hands, moved through traffic. Well, still got a lot of developing to do, but very promising.
Encouraging. Probably he got caught a few times in the first half, and I think that's just the tempo of the game. It's obviously light years ahead of what you used to in the VFL.
Yep.
But I think he adapted pretty quick, and a couple of his passes by foot just fell short or a little bit over the top. But just his kicking actions, just beautiful to watch. He had that really great snap which would have brought the house down, which hit the post.
Yeah.
But he finished with the final goal, which again, it's fantastic to see a Dacos kicking goals again.
Fantastic to see him.
I hope they keep him in there for a few more weeks, give him some time to run.
I think they have to give him at least another 2 weeks, play him until the bye, and then they'll probably reassess the list and any players coming back and all that stuff. You'd hope that Elliott and all that would come back. Although they'll probably come back through the VFL.
No, they'd have to,
yeah. But anyway, that's it from us for this week. See you next week.
Thanks for watching.